Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing good. Welcome to another video of the Way Forward podcast. I have a special guest for you guys today. I'm with my bro, Loue, aka Kevin. How you doing, bro?
Hey, good.
Good.
And nice to meet you guys.
All right. So, guys, to talk a little bit about Kevin, he's a young Ivorian, a really good friend of mine that I know who has ventured in the U.S. Army. He's also a business owner for Edmond Boat Rental. So we're gonna today dive deep into those two sides. Outside of being an immigrant coming to the United States, we're gonna dive into his story, his personal story, about being in the army and also building this business that he has, right? Which is also such a great business here in Minneapolis. So with no further ado, we're gonna go straight into it. How you doing, brother? Like I said, you told me you were good. Is there who is Eva? What's your background? Where you coming from? Give us a little bit of your story.
Yeah, everybody is just a young Ivorian who moved in the United States in 2013. Actually, I have a BTS, which is about like a 2 year after high school diploma degree in Ivory Coast, and I did that in electronics. So when I moved here, I was supposed to go to UCO, this is University of Central Oklahoma, and to study electrical system.
Okay.
And that's what I did actually.
Wow. So if I understand this correctly, you when you first came to the US, you lived in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Okay.
When I first moved to United States, I just landed in Oklahoma. So everybody always asks why Oklahoma.
Exactly.
Yeah, Oklahoma just because we met a guy who passed away a couple years ago, but we met a person that had a partnership with UCO. So
Okay.
he was helping most of the Ivorian to learn in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Especially at the University of Central Oklahoma.
Okay.
So he probably moved about, I would say, almost 150 people in that university.
Wow.
So it was kind of his business too at the same time.
So was he affiliated with the campus, or was this something he was doing just on his own, like personal business?
Yes, actually it was something he was doing on his own.
Wow.
So he brought his son to the university, and I guess his son kind of have a good relation with the International Student Office.
Okay.
And then that's how things started.
Wow.
And his son and him put that together, and they brought a lot of people.
And that's how you also got into the boat and landed in Oklahoma. So is it fair to say that you came to the US as an international student?
Yes. I actually
F1 visa?
Yes.
Interesting.
I came as international student.
Wow.
Yes.
I did not know that. I did not know you came to the US as an international. I thought you always came through the normal way that I came. Like I just came and I have a green card and I went through the system like that. But I have a lot of international student friends. But when I think about my international student friends, I never thought of you. I thought you were just like me.
Oh yeah.
You came in. Wow.
I went through the whole immigration life. I would say it like that.
OPT, CPT, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was a little bit lucky to not go to OPT, and the only reason is because I married an American woman at some point.
Oh, got it.
So with her, I got my green card, and from
Nice.
that, then things move forward.
Wow. So we leave Ivory Coast and we land in Oklahoma for studies, and we're doing I'm gonna say electrical engineering. Is that
Yes.
fair? So then, why did you guys decide to come to the US? There's London, there's France, there's Germany, there's all these countries. Why the US?
The US, because I would say first of all I was supposed to go to France, so I was always asking my father because everybody in Ivory Coast have a family in France, so it will be probably cheaper to stay in France than go in United States.
Okay.
But how things happen is I have my girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
And my girlfriend at the time had a big brother in the United States.
Okay.
So when the time came when I was close to be done with my high school degree, she was supposed to go to United States. So she was always telling me about why I don't go to the US than to France. So time passed by. Because of some issue with my dad, I didn't go to France after my high school degree. So I have to continue school. That's how I ended up doing that 2-year degree BTS. So while I'm doing that, now my girlfriend is in high school. She get a high school diploma. And then she's going to United States.
So you got influence about the girl.
Yeah. So things broke off, and then I just wanted to pursue the United States now, and that's what pushed me to go towards United States.
So then I'm assuming you didn't have anybody in America.
No.
So then how does that, so you just have a girl who you know who's coming to America and you just, apply for it? Is that how you went about it? And you just got
it was just like that, but I mean, that's where, when you're a Christian and you will pray, things happen. So I know at that time my father didn't have probably all the money to make that happen because of so much money. So I end up talking to one of my friends. We used to go to church together. And my dad knows that. And I talked to him about the project of going to United States. And he was happy too, because we have been friends for so many years. We were singing at the choir together and all of that. So then my friend was able to convince his dad to do that for him. But his dad have a lot of money. So by doing that, we were able to have my friend apply first for his visa, and he ended up getting his visa to go to United States. So when he does that, and then it's time to do mine, for some reason they refused my visa. So the first time I go to the embassy with the sponsor, with my friend's dad as a sponsor, and I failed for the visa the first time. And then after some time, I went again to the embassy for the second time for the visa, and I failed again. So the third time, I have to convince now my dad to sell one of his house. God. That was a big thing. So it got to that point, my father trusts me so much that he sacrificed the one thing that was so valuable for him, so that I can pursue that dream. And then that's how my father sold his house for some million. He got me into, he was now the sponsor.
The sponsor as your
dad, I have to go back to Ghana to pass a TOEFL again, because at that time, the University of Central Oklahoma was only accepting when you have a TOEFL of 60. When you have less than 60, you needed to go to the ECL, the language. And for some reason, I don't know why, my voice was telling me that probably that's what was blocking. That's one thing that was blocking me for going to United States. Maybe that's what the embassy was saying. They said, no, we're not giving to him. So I had to go to Ghana and pass the TOEFL again. So the first time I got 57. The second time I went for the TOEFL, I got 73. Then I have a good score. So with that, and my father as a sponsor with enough of money, the third time where everybody was saying that it was impossible for me to get a visa, and then God made it happen and I got the visa.
What a story.
That's another. It was just God.
So then all right, we made our bases, so we are now in Oklahoma. How was life in Oklahoma? Like campus, college, how was it? Adjusting to the life in America. I mean, I'm assuming Ivory Coast, you don't speak English there. So how was it the first couple of, I want to say first 3 months or first year even?
Yeah, I think I was so preparing my mind that I started things a little bit early. Because me and my friend, since we were trying to go to United States, we spent 2 years in Ghana. Learning English. So actually, I was at that school called Alliance Française. In Ghana, and we spent 2 years learning English over there. So I have a little bit of knowledge about English. So when I landed in United States, it was just the fact of trying to not speak much French. And then speak more English.
Speak more English, yeah.
And I already have my friend that was already there, so it was easy for me to just come and stay with him until I get my own apartment.
Nice.
So he set me up for everything. So he was already doing some little job, so he did help me find a little job too, so I don't have to rely on my father all the time. And then, being 25 years old in United States, you kind of old compared to those kids that come at 18 years old after the high school degree. In my head, I know that I have a mission. It was to make it happen, to make sure my parents are proud of me. So I was already set to go work and do the study and all of that.
And I'm assuming you just had a visa. How was working? How was the working situation? Were you working under the table? Were you mostly on campus?
Yeah, I would definitely know about it because we all have to do that. So actually, I have to figure out with the campus to get my my social security card.
Okay.
And then I started working the campus, and I was doing some little jobs outside just to make things a little bit.
Because that's what you have to do. I mean, the campus doesn't pay a lot of money for a lot of students. So it's so little that you just have to do what you have to do. Wow, that's amazing. So then we're there. We're in Oklahoma. We're going about our life. Have you always thought about the army? Was this something that was in the back of your mind? Were you always interested from being back home, or did that just come out of?
I won't say I was so super excited about the army.
Okay.
One thing that pushed us, I would say, all of international students towards the army was at some point the U.S. Army decided to enroll international students.
I remember that period.
If you have been in school for 2 years, and then your status, your F1 status is good, you could apply in the army. So, funny part is at that time I wasn't going to school anymore. I didn't have my F1 status anymore because it got to that point where my father was like, "Hey, bro,
I don't have money.
It's time to make it happen." So, but I mean, I was already preparing my mind since the day I landed here. So after a year, my dad wasn't there, and it's not. I won't say it was his fault. It's not his fault because he was a little bit mad because 1 year coming in the United States, I got a girl pregnant.
Okay, now we're talking.
So
okay. Wow, that's a lot happened. I guess he got cold.
So that's why I said I cannot be mad at him because it was more like, hey,
what you doing there?
You came to study, you end up having a girl pregnant, you better start figuring things out. So that's what I did.
Wow, okay. So then the army wasn't really there. It was through a program. I remember back in the days when I went to campus, they had a name for it, MAV something.
MAVNI.
The
MAVNI program.
MAVNI Pro. There you go. So then, wow. Okay. So then we go through that. So then, when do you decide to enroll then?
Like I was saying,
right after everything that happened, you just say,
the fact is, by having a kid, I have to get out of school. I couldn't go to school anymore to take care of the kids. So I didn't have my F1 status visa anymore. So I saw my friend going into the army, and me, I had to keep doing little job just to provide for the kind of family I have now. So I end up in the army by the fact that I got married.
So it was a survival decision mostly.
At some point, things wasn't going well with the mother of my first child. And then I ended up meeting an American woman, and things got kind of okay, and we decided to get married. So that's how I got married, and from that, then I decided to join the army. Okay,
wow. Okay, so then we're joining the army. Walk me through basic training. I have no idea what basic training is. I don't even know how you sign up. So let's say when you guys go to basic, what happens? I know you guys can have your phones.
Actually, you can have your phone.
Oh, okay.
It's just that you have fun time. So you
Oh,
won't have your
phone times,
phone
okay.
all the time, but there's some time where they will give you your phone and you can call your family and check on them.
Okay.
So
Was it a culture shock being around so many different people which are not from your backgrounds? Especially being African in the middle of Americans.
Army is culturally is very diverse.
Okay.
So I met some African.
Nice.
I met some people from Brazil,
Okay.
Mexico, and different countries. So the only thing that was kind of weird, I was one of the oldest guy. So usually people go in the army when they're 17, 18, 19.
And you would have been what, 26, 27?
No, I think 28, 27 when I joined. So I was a little kind of old dude, around 18 years old kid. So that's
and to give you guys a little bit of context background, it's like in most African countries, you won't join the army until you're in your 30s. I mean, like it's your uncle that joins the army. Like if you're 17, you're thinking about it when you're going to like the kids' school, empathy, or you go in there, but then the army, like a lot of the time when you see them, they're grown people. But here in America, they made it a very good culture that 17-year-old kids can enroll and go fight for their country. Okay, so then what was basic training like? How did you feel? Did you prepare physically for it?
I won't lie, I wasn't prepared at all. My ex-wife was a soldier too.
Okay.
So the American that I married was a soldier too. So she kind of told me what was going on. So I have a little bit of idea. So I started working out, but I mean, when I landed over there, I don't think I was.
You don't think you knew what you were doing?
Because running was very difficult. I've never been a runner back in Ivory Coast. And that was my main thing, was running. I really suffer on the running part, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So when it was time to pass our PT test, I had to make it happen, and I made it happen.
And what's the PT test?
The PT test, with my age, I think I was supposed to do 2 miles.
You're supposed to run 2 miles.
2 miles, and in I think 11 minutes. I don't have the chart. I don't remember the chart well, but I think it was something around 11 to 13 minutes, 2 miles.
Okay. So you just have to do those, and then they'll tell you, and then
yes, there's 3 tests. There's the running part. There's the sit-ups and push-ups.
Okay.
And then we are muscular people, so usually we good when it's time to do push-up or sit-ups, but when it was time of running, I mean that was a fight. Okay,
so then was there a time during the army where you ever like doubted, like, man, what am I even doing here? Like, was there a time where you almost felt like you were almost there, almost quit?
Honestly, I couldn't think about it. The reason why is you have people counting on you.
That's true.
So there is a part that I skip, is my second child with my ex American wife was born only at 2 weeks. 5 months, 2 weeks. So it was called extreme premature baby.
Yeah, wow.
So it was so rough that when he spent 9 months in the hospital. So when he got out of the hospital, it was difficult for the mom and I to take care of him. So I have to do my mom visa, so my mom can move to the United States so she can help me. So, and that's what happened. So that's how I moved my mom here. And now in the army, there is a goal. The goal was being a U.S. citizen. So when you think about how many people you can help, your mom that's waiting on you, you can apply for a green card so she can do whatever she wants. When you think about your dad that sacrifices everything for him, you have no choice than just
that's
make it happen.
Fuel for you. So, you just have to get going.
So I have no doubt. I just had to go through it, get it done, and come back home.
Wow. Now, through your journey in the army, was there any valuable lesson that you've learned during your time in the army that you feel like anybody that's going through the army, here's my top 3 rules that you should keep in mind before you even think about it?
Can you repeat your question again?
So through your journey in the army, up until today, do you have 3 lessons that you learned during the army that you feel like somebody who's interested in joining the army today would benefit from?
First, if you join the army, you definitely benefit from it.
Okay.
So financially,
Okay.
let's talk about the financial part first. By joining the army, I was able to, in my contract, to sign a bonus where they pay for my student loan.
Oh wow!
So actually, they helped me finish my
Nice.
engineering school. So that's one thing.
Okay.
Secondly, being a retired veteran today with disability, I'll receive a check until I die. And I'll probably not disclose the amount, but the amount is sufficient for me to even live off of it. So that's the second thing. So yes, you sacrifice your life, but you're getting something in return.
So what you're telling me is the U.S. Army takes care of its soldiers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If you do take care of them,
that is
they'll
different.
take care of you.
That is different than the rhetoric that we hear outside.
No, it's
With the
because
veterans outside and things that we see there.
I think it's part of a system. I think in anything you want to do in life, you need to know the system, how the system works.
Right.
When you know how to play the game well, you get out of the game
what you're looking for.
Yeah, all the goals. If you don't know how to play well, then you get out with nothing. So I knew what to do in the same way I knew what I was supposed to do when I come to the United States. When I joined the army, I made sure that I knew what I have to do to get out of it with all the benefit. And that's just what happened.
Okay, so that's financially, right? Give me one more. What's one crucial thing a youngster is like he wants to go?
I'll say educational.
Educational, yeah.
Yeah, this is another point because they will allow you to go to school, pay for your school.
Okay.
You get all those grants. So that's very important.
Okay.
A lot of people, when they join the army, sometimes they quit school. They don't want to go to school anymore.
Okay.
Please don't do that. If you get the chance, please choose to go to the reserve and don't go active. Because if you go to the reserve, at least you're able to pursue what you were trying to do in life.
And then decide whether or not you want to go full time
or not.
Okay.
So, but when you choose to go active, usually it's very difficult.
Because you're active.
To go to school again or go while you active is very difficult.
That's very valuable insight. I never thought about it that, it's something that you have to sit down and say, okay, if I want to go to school and I want to take advantage of these specific benefits, some of the reasons why I'm joining the army, therefore I have to go, what's the name again? Reserve, right? Because you want to go to school, and then when you finish going to school, you're like, I really like the army, and then you can say, okay, I'm going active, and then or you can stay reserve until you retire, right?
Yes.
Like you say, okay.
Yeah, but I think it's all about preference. Some people, I have a lot of brother that's in the army right now. I have some warrant officers, some officer in the army right now, and those are my little brother or my friend. And those that are still in, they really love the army.
Okay.
And they're still in the army doing their thing. For me, I wanted to go to school.
Keep on.
I was always saying that my dad sent me here to complete my engineering degree in electrical science, and I needed to make that happen. So that was my goal, and that's why I succeeded in that goal, to get my diploma and become an engineer. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. But if you want to go to school, you still want to pursue your school dream, then go reserve, don't go active.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So then I want to branch off into, I want to talk a little bit about Edmond Boat Rental. where does the idea comes from? Like, why boating? I mean, there's you're an electrical engineer who decides to do boat rental. Why?
Okay, this is will be so funny. That's another story too. I remember when I came back, my my wife at that time, she loved fishing. So
Okay.
every time we would go to the lake that was close to our house in Edmond. Actually, the town in Oklahoma is called Edmond. And then the lake where we usually were going was the lake Arcadia Lake.
Okay.
So we were always close to the boat ramp, towing our fishing boat, our fishing line, and then I was always seeing all those, because that town there's a lot of white people. It's mostly white people, so I was always seeing white people on the boat, and it's like not ever I would see a black dude coming with his boat and things. So I was wondering myself, why is just white people
just them
doing boating? So that's how I tell my wife at that time that, you know what, I'm going to get a boat. I want to be one of the first black to come in that lake with a boat. So
there you go.
That's how the idea came. So, when you try to do something, don't ever try to go by yourself. That's my technique. So what I did is, my friend I came from Ivory Coast with, we were all in the same town. So I called those friends and asked them if they wanted to put money together so we can acquire a boat and learn how to do boating. And they were excited too. So that's how we end up putting money together, and we found a white dude that had a boat that he was selling. I remember it was $6,000, and
which kind of boat was it?
It was a Bayliner, a 2002 Bayliner.
Was it like a speedboat?
Yeah, a speedboat.
Okay.
So that day we found that guy. We put the money together. We met at Arcadia Lake with the guy. We told the guy that we didn't know nothing about boating.
Okay.
And we just wanted to learn the basics of boating, and then we'll figure out the rest. So he taught us a little bit what to do when you bring the boat to the ramp, how you back up, and how you set up the boat to start your journey. And we learned. We were three in the boat. We learned everything for about an hour. We gave him his money, and then he left. One thing funny is that
the real things up.
Yeah, one thing funny is that we forgot that we didn't have something to pull the boat, because you cannot pull a boat with a sedan car. We needed at least a truck or SUV.
Oh.
So since I was the one that brought the idea, we had to figure out how to get a truck.
Okay.
So I ended up getting a car that was able to pull the boat, and then that's how things started. So we got very familiar with the boat, what to do and everything around that. So when I came back from the military, I was able to save some money. So
if I want to get a clarification here. So Edmond, this story happens before you go in the army, or while you were in the army? Or you guys acquiring this boat?
We acquired the boat while I was in the army. I acquired the boat before the army.
Okay, before the army. Okay.
Before the army, I acquired the boat.
Okay.
Now, when I came back from the military, that's where I have enough money.
Yeah, a little bit more money.
So I decided to buy another boat.
I wonder what happened to that boat. It was still good?
Yeah, it was still good, since it was something that was shared between three people.
Okay.
And then one of my other friends decided to join the army too. So we ended up selling that boat.
Oh, okay.
So when I came back, I decided to buy another boat for me, for myself. And I mean, being very familiar with boats now, one day I was at Arcadia Lake, and the idea popped in my mind that, I remember that day where I saw some black people that was doing what we were doing. They were fishing by the boat ramp. And
so you had to go to the army to come back from the army to see black people on the lake after you.
Yeah, so when you go to the lake to fish, usually you won't go every day.
Right.
It's something you do once or twice during the summer.
Yeah.
So that didn't give me the chance to see that there was other people that was coming. But by boating a lot, then I saw that there was a lot of people. There was some black people that love fishing too, like us, and actually some white people to go and do fish. So, and that's how I say why I don't provide a boat to those people so that they can enjoy like us. Because when we were at that where they were, we couldn't rent a boat or nothing. So why I don't offer that service? And that's where the idea popped, and I started Edmond Boat Rental.
And then you bought one boat, and then a day after, biz couple, and then you got another one.
Yeah, so I was the only one in the town, but almost the only one that was renting the boat in the whole Oklahoma City area. So basically, nobody was doing rental, whether it was in Edmond in Oklahoma City. If you wanted to rent a boat, you needed to go 3 hours away from the city.
Wow.
And there's a lake, Texoma. Usually those lakes, that's where you can rent a boat. So I was the only one that was renting. So funny is, the boat that I bought to have fun, I started a business with that specific boat. And after 1 month into the summer, I have so much customer that I have to buy another boat. So I end up with 2. By the end of the summer, I have 3 boats already.
First summer,
because
exactly.
Yeah, because the summer in Oklahoma is only 6 months. So 3 months, 4 months in, I have 3 boats already.
Nice.
And that's how Edmond Boat Rental started.
So then, did you, you go from having no knowledge about boating, going to the army, to coming back from the army, and in the span of 6 months, purchasing 3 boats. How did you I'm sure you're an electrical engineer, but you didn't have any knowledge on fixing boats. Did you rely on someone, or you just kind of learn on the way?
Okay, I was very lucky because I remember my first boat I bought for myself was a Sea-Doo jet boat. And that's how I learned that it was not good to buy that boat, because that boat doesn't have a propeller, but it have a jet pump. And people that don't know how to operate that boat, usually when you get close to the dam, they'll suck all the rocks into the propeller, and it will mess up the propeller, and it won't go fast anymore. But I didn't know that at the beginning. Since it was supposed to be my own boat, I didn't care. So when that happened, I had to find a mechanic guy, because I didn't know nothing about how to fix a boat. So I ended up finding a guy, and we started a good relationship. So with that relationship, he started showing to me how to do certain things, and I became very I acquired a lot of knowledge being close to him. So maybe one of my advice, maybe if I want to give to people, is if you're trying to get into something, especially those kind of business, don't be shy. Even though you think you have money, but don't be shy to learn everything around that business, because that will help you. So I know I want to do boat rental. I know there will be a lot of money spent to fix. So
what can I do to minimize the cost?
It's just to be close to the mechanic guy and learn. So sometime I'll leave my job. I'll stay close, or leave school, or I'll stay close to that mechanic guy, and when he's fixing it, I'll just look at it and learn what he's doing. So that's how I acquired the knowledge about how to fix boats.
And that's important. And just wanted to open a parenthesis here. That's important for everybody and everyone that's an entrepreneur out there. It's like I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with my wife, and we were talking about people that get into businesses and have no idea about how the business itself work. I think there was a case back home where somebody had a hair salon, but they didn't know how to do hair. They only hired people in the store to do hair. And then the people that do the hair started disrespecting her, taking the money and not doing the work in the store. And she had to close because she didn't know how to do hair. And I feel like that has to be like rule 101 of entrepreneurship. You have to be able to know how to damage control, whether it's fixed, what is it that you're selling as a product. And in your case, if you're doing boating, you have to try to know everything you have to know about boating, from understanding what happens when he revs this way, or what happens when he doesn't do a certain thing. So that's pretty cool. Power to you, man. That's really good insight. So then you launched the boats. It's going great. First summer. If you're happy to share the numbers, that would be great. How much money you made the first year, if you can share. But if you don't want to share, it's okay. It's okay. I understand. But now we're in Minnesota. You came from Oklahoma. How do we end up in Minnesota, man?
One thing maybe I didn't clarify is during all that period, I was a electrical engineer student. I was still going to school.
Oh wow! Okay.
So I was going to school. I was working in a company that do electronic manufacturing electronics device.
Okay.
And I was doing the army. So
and running the business.
So coming to Minnesota was the fact that I got my diploma now.
Okay.
I became an electrical engineer, and I was contacted by AT&T. To move to Minnesota to start the job. So that's how I ended up being
AT&T brought you to these cold states.
So
and then how has it been, the adjustment from Oklahoma to Minnesota, transferring the business over, specifically the boating business? How has that been?
It was difficult, but still okay. I never had anything easy for me.
To you for
Everything
sure.
has been work. So I have a new baby. When I came to Minnesota, I have a new baby, a 3-month-old baby.
Wow.
So, and AT&T was offering 3 months of paternity leave.
Nice.
So at the beginning of the year, starting January, what I did in that end of the first year of being in AT&T is using that parental leave, and every 2 weeks I was driving to Oklahoma, picking up a boat. That's 12 hours away. So I was driving
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
How many times did you have to do that?
I did that, I think, 4 times to bring all 4 boats.
12-hour drive every 2 weeks on schedule.
That's 24 hours.
Guys, that's dedication.
So I did that, and I brought all the boats that I have in Oklahoma.
How many total was that?
I sold I think 2 or 3 over there, and some jet ski. Okay. Because I do boat and jet ski.
Okay.
And then I brought only 4, the most important one. Yeah. And when all of them was here, the first season in Minnesota, I worked with 4 boats, and then by the end of the summer, I acquired more boats.
Okay.
I acquired 3 more boats, and I was at 8 boats first summer of in Minnesota.
Wow. Hey, so then let's do this. For our listeners and our viewers who will be interested in the future when we post this video to book a boating rent a boat from Edmond Boat Rental. Can you give me what are some of the boats that you offer, and what are some of the things that they can do while on these boats?
We're offering different type of boats.
Okay.
So we have what we call a speed boat. Actually, those boats are used to do tubing, where you have those kind of flat balloon. That's tight. There's a rope that you can tie to the boat, and people are just sliding on the water. So usually they use a speed boat. We have the pontoon boat that everybody knows, that's just to chill on the water. Usually those are not fast. I have the curly boat. Those are the ones that you can sleep inside.
Mhm.
So they are big boats. So usually it's just to cruise and stay somewhere and maybe
Just relax.
spend a night
Okay, spend a night.
on the lake, on the beach, on your boat.
Okay.
And then I have the jet ski. That's
Jet
the
ski.
last one. Is if you just want to enjoy jet ski, speed on the lake, have fun.
Okay.
So,
And where is Edmond Boat Rental located in Minnesota?
we're located in Minnetonka Lake.
Okay. And do you operate out of just Minnetonka Lake, or do you just drive?
Actually, we allowing people to use the boat at different lake. The only thing they have to book at least a full day
Okay.
to be able to use it in a different lake,
Okay.
and they need to book at least 3 days in advance, so we can make sure that the boat is dropped at the lake at the correct time for them.
Okay.
We do offer a different lake. It just depends it just depends on when they do schedule that.
Okay.
Definitely you cannot book in a different lake
For
and
the same
then
day,
that
right?
you do that on the same day. It
Right.
won't work.
Okay. And then I wanna quickly pivot. What is one? Can you give us an interesting story, like a weird thing that happened? Why you've been in this boating business? Where
Okay.
it's kind of like that's interesting, or it's funny or something.
Okay, I think that's something that probably happened to a lot of people.
Okay.
But there's one thing usually we always tell boaters is make sure your plug is in. So there's that little plug when you have a speedboat. There's that little plug that you put on the back of your boat.
Okay.
That's where usually you drain the water that got into the boat.
Okay.
So if you don't put that plug and then you go on the lake, you won't sink the first maybe 10-20 minutes. But starting 25 minutes, you will probably see water close to by your feet. So that day, I remember in Oklahoma, I rented a boat to a customer. I was so busy that day, I completely forgot to put the plug in. So as soon as I gave the boat to the customer, actually he's have the plug, but the boat that I was driving to check on customer, I forgot to put the plug in. So when we're on the lake, I start seeing water close to my feet. So I was like, ooh, what is going on? So, and funny part, the people that I was checking to see if everything was good, the people that rented the jet ski or the boat, I started waving at them like, hey guys. So actually he saw me. It was about maybe 80 feet away and he saw me. So when he came close to me, I thought, hey, the boat is sinking out water. I think I forgot to put the plug. Let me tidy up the boat quickly and just drive so we can get close to the boat when. One thing that I love too is that boat have a system where it cannot go down completely because it have a buoyancy system. Okay. So he was able to pull me all the way to the boardroom, and I was actually able to put the plug back in, and I drained the water, and everything was good, and I was back on the water. So that
must have been scary.
So since that day, it never happened again.
I mean, you gotta double, triple check, make sure.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I forgot to mention that in the army, my job was to work on helicopter, on Chinooks and Apache. Okay. And one thing that I learned doing that kind of job is people's life is at risk if you don't do your job well. Yeah. So there is something called sometimes we do some work and you can, by mistake, you can leave piece of metal close to the engine and things like that. So we learn how to make sure that all your tools that you use on the helicopter, everything is back where it's supposed to be, and you need to double check before you leave the helicopter. So coming from that, then I remembered my training.
Your training from the army.
And then I just applied to that. So now every time I have a boat, it doesn't matter if I've been doing that for 7-8 years. I would triple check
Yep.
that my plug is there before
Nice.
I took the
Wow,
plug
wow,
in the
wow,
water.
wow, wow. What a story. So then we're getting near to the end of our talk here, and I want you to give an advice to our listeners, to somebody who's interested in getting to the boating rental, or as an entrepreneur in general. What is an advice that you'd be happy to share with them?
My advice is, if you don't have a lot of money, if your father is not rich, find first a career.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I would say. Find something that can give you money,
Okay.
and then use that money to do
Create
the
your
foundation of your business.
Nice.
I think that's what works for me.
Mhm.
I never give up on the school part.
Mhm.
I made sure that I graduated. I made sure that I have a job that was giving me good money,
Mhm.
and then I use that money now to open that business. So it doesn't matter if the business is not doing good, I still have my job.
Right.
It doesn't matter if my job is not doing good, I
Yes,
have the
your
business. So there's always something I can rely on.
Wow, 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 wow. Okay, man, thank you very much for stopping by. I mean, this was such an inspiring story. We want to thank you. We want to thank the family for letting you come. We want to thank the listeners for joining in, guys. This was a raw story. Really appreciate you guys. And as always, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe the page. We are on Way Forward, YouTube, Way Forward, Instagram, Way Forward, Facebook, excuse me. And we're gonna go pretty soon on TikTok, very soon. There was something that happened yesterday with the band, but I think we're gonna make it there. So I'm gonna make it a purpose to create a page there so that you guys can also view some of our episodes there. But again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you again. Any
Thank
last
you.
words to the people listening?
I mean, it was my first time doing that and I enjoy it.
Really?
I wasn't prepared, but I hope I did great.
That's good.
And I was
You did
able to
wonderful.
help somebody somewhere.
Yeah, you did wonderful. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.